I'm Rebecca. Don't come for me. I made this at home. Now, I was just watching this PewDiePie video, I'll link it here, and I saw this clip.
Actually farming us by giving us oxygen daily until we all eventually decompose so they can consume us.
Those f***ers. I knew it! I'm vegan now.
Another conspiracy. Wait, you're vegan to hate plants. That's a great concept.
See, this is a great reason for why we need to keep destroying the earth, because otherwise...
the plants will destroy us.
We can't let the plants win, guys, come on.
Can't plants actually feel pain? I remember...
I've heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, so vegans are still, like, hurting creatures.
That seems like the Fedora version of, like...
It totally is.
You're vegan? Do you know plants feel pain too, right?
Yes, I was annoyed. Okay, was I full-on triggered? I'd like to think not, but here I am filming a video. Just like my COVID-19 video, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it here. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. Now look, I know that it's just like a meme to say plants don't feel pain to vegans now, because everyone loves a good troll. At first it was protein, but then everyone realized that they look stupid when they said the protein thing, so they switched to plants don't feel pain. But don't worry, people are gonna realize that that's just as cringy. I have my laptop here. A lot of people just say plants feel pain to like troll vegans. This isn't for them. This is for the people who literally use it as a genuine argument against veganism. I just want to do a little bit of research, because the last time I had researched this was like 4 or 5 years ago maybe. My Tourette's has been real bad, so if I'm like, if you see me like doing this and like yeah, that's Tourette's. Don't ask me about it, because now you know, it's Tourette's. I just wanted to respond to a couple articles that I found, do a little bit of research. So let's look at this first one here. So I looked up plants feel pain study. That's what I was looking up on Google. Yes, I am not a full-blown professional scientist. I'm doing the bare minimum here. Like, I'm not trying to revolutionize the scientific community. So here we have Encyclopedia Britannica. You know how before the internet was huge, like, people would have encyclopedias on their bookshelf, which was like Wikipedia in book form? That's Encyclopedia Britannica. Do plants feel pain? Written by Melissa Petruzzello. Given that plants do not have pain receptors, nerves, or a brain, they do not feel pain as we members of the animal kingdom understand it. Uprooting a carrot or trimming a hedge is not a form of botanical torture, and you can bite into that apple without worry. However, it seems that many plants can perceive and communicate physical stimuli and damage in ways that are more sophisticated than previously thought. Thanks for watching. Problem solved. Plants don't feel pain. This Encyclopedia Britannica does go on to mention Venus flytraps and how they respond to physical stimuli. This other mustard plant sends out signals when eaten by caterpillars or aphids. I just gleeked all over my computer. But the other articles I'm going to respond to get into that more, so let's get into that. Oh, I forgot to say, so when I Googled it, the first thing that I saw was this from PETA. We're not going to pay attention to that because PETA is trash and they murder animals. We don't support PETA. We don't click their links. Link here, PETAkillsanimals.com. Back to Vice. I thought a Vice article would be really funny because just like PETA, I think that the most of us can agree that Vice is trash.
We asked a biologist if plants can feel pain. According to Daniel Chamovitz, Dean of Life Sciences at Tel Aviv University, plants can feel themselves being eaten. They just don't have the capacity to give a shit.
I thought that was a funny intro, and I actually thought it might be good because right there in like the little teaser text they're being honest. But then, oh gosh, the rest of this article, okay.
Officials in the United States government have dusted off that old partisan debate about abortion and put it back in the spotlight, with yet another budget standoff looming.
Oh yeah, this was 2015, September 25th, 2015.
With yet another budget standoff looming, the government might shut down on October 1st, and it all might come down to a difference of opinion about whether a cluster of cells has rights. And according to an article in June's Scientific American, we're only just beginning to learn exactly what a fetus can feel and when.
But you know what definitely can feel? Plants.
At least according to biologist Daniel Chamovitz, Dean of Life Sciences at Tel Aviv University in Israel, and author of the book What a Plant Knows. We reached out to Chamovitz to find out if one of those things plants can feel is pain, because we figured if they could, that would really shake up the whole abortion debate, not to mention add a new dimension to veganism.
As Hello Leash would say, I want you to put a pin in that, which means that's gonna become relevant again in a little bit. So this person is basically saying they went into writing this article and into this interview wanting Chamovitz to tell them that plants feel pain because it would help them in their debate for legal abortions and accessible abortions, and would also own the vegans. Hi, this video is already too long, so screw it. I just want to clarify. They might have been pro-abortion, they might have been anti-abortion, I don't know. They didn't make it clear, and I shouldn't have assumed that they had one opinion or the other. But either way, point is, they went into this with like a political agenda or a political motive. It's just weird. Let's see how successful that was.
Vice. I'm looking at a video of a plant called Mimosa pudica that can obviously feel. Someone touches it and the leaves close up.
I'll put a link in here for a clip.
Daniel Chamovitz. I'm actually touching Mimosa as we talk. It feels that, right? It's feeling it. I would even use the word aware, but it doesn't care. A leaf knows when it's been cut, and it'll respond. But it's not getting a complex like, oh my god, what happens to me if this happens again?
Instantly, they ask a suggestive question, the interview. Who does this interview? Mike Pearl. So instantly, Mike starts off with the leading question. It feels that, right? Instead of asking, does the plant feel that? He says, it feels that, right? Being suggestive, saying, agree with me. Tell me I'm correct. And instantly, Daniel is like, nah. He instantly makes the distinction in this interview that it feels it, but it has no feelings about it. So let's continue.
Is a mimosa different from other plants? Mimosa, and also the Venus flytrap, have a specific organ for movement called a pulvinus.
Pulvinus? How do you pronounce that? Pulvinus. So these plants both have an organ called a pulvinus.
Other plants don't have that, but the way that a pulvinus reacts to touch is the same way that a branch reacts to touch at the molecular level.
So that's a good question. I don't have any criticism there. That was a good question.
Would it frustrate the plant if you kept it from moving? What you can do is, there are certain drugs, human drugs, that you can put on a mimosa. Note, the particular drugs that can do this are anesthetics like methoxyflurane, chloroform, halothane, and fluorane and sevoflurane.
Probably pronounced some of those wrong.
When you put them on the mimosa and touch it, it can't close anymore.
He kind of avoided the question about would it frustrate the plant, but he added some cool science in there. I didn't know that you could give plants that move like that anesthetics and it would stop them from moving. So I thought that was a weird question, good answer. Have scientists done anything else to torture these plants? I know I didn't read the answer yet, but I'll have to say that's a bad question. I don't know if they're being facetious, but considering the goal of their writing this article, I can't help but feel like they were actually being serious, which is weird, but whatever.
Have scientists done anything else to torture these plants? You know how if you apply an electric shock to your leg, it'll jump? You can cause a mimosa or a Venus flytrap to close by putting electrodes on it and send an electric charge across a leaf.
It must hate that, right? So far in this interview, it seems that Mike keeps asking leading questions, suggestive questions, and Daniel keeps responding, kind of like not really addressing it, more just giving a very scientific, fact-based answer. And it seems like Mike's getting a little annoyed. I could just be picking up on that, but I feel like his questions are getting a little bolder, a little more suggestive. He literally said it must hate that, right? Plants must not only feel pain, but have an emotional reaction, have a sentient awareness of what's going on and feel emotions about it. So now Mike is basically saying that plants are just animals stuck in the ground. So he asks,
it must hate that, right? Response, it's very easy to become anthropocentric and say, oh, it hurts. But what I see is, and there's nothing spiritual about this at all, the unity of biology. All of biology uses electricity, what are called depolarizations. This is an ancient biological mechanism. Our nerves do that.
So again, Daniel very politely says, no, but here's some cool science. And then Mike says,
do plants that aren't mimosas or Venus flytraps have electrical signals? We know that when aphids attack leaves, it elicits an electrical signal in plants that goes from leaf to leaf to signal it to start protecting itself. It's propagated very similarly to the way it's propagated along a nervous system. And they do all this without a neural system. The take-home message is that neural systems are one way to process information, not the only way.
And I think that's so cool. I think that's awesome. I think that's really, really great. I really like this Chamovitz guy. He really seems like he knows what he's talking about. It was a great question. I really appreciated it. And then Mike comes back in out of left field.
Right, and isn't sensing damage even without a neural system essentially pain? The idea that damage has to be pain is mistaken. We feel pain because we have specific types of receptors called nociceptors, which are programmed to respond to pain, not touch. People can have genetic malfunctions where they feel pressure but never feel pain because they don't have pain receptors.
SBSK has actually done a really cool interview with a kid who has one of these conditions where they don't feel pain. I'm gonna link it here if you're interested in that and hearing someone's perspective who lives without feeling pain. That could be something interesting for you. So I understand that Mike might really be confused and just be like, but I thought plants felt pain. You know, how is feeling sensation not the same as feeling pain? But the way he's asking these leading questions it sounds like he's getting annoyed. You know, I mean, listen to this next question. But you said plants are aware, so aren't they cognizant of this damage? And then Daniel just lays down the law. He says no.
I refuse to use the word cognition. We have no understanding of what cognition is. None whatsoever. Plants are not cognizant. When we cut a leaf, we assume that the plant is suffering. But that's our own anthropomorphism about what's going on. So they might not be in pain, but they're struggling. All organisms try to maintain homeostasis, and they'll do anything to have that. But whether there's suffering, that's a definition that we put on things. Let's say you have an elm tree on top of a mountain, and the same elm tree in a valley. On top of a windy mountain, it's going to be short with few branches, few leaves, and a thick trunk. If it stayed at the same height with the same number of branches, it would be blown over. So we know that plants actively respond to the wind by inhibiting vertical growth and by increasing their girth. It's an active response. It's not like it's responding to damage. It's changing its own response in order to survive.
So, like 3 questions in a row, Daniel just shuts that notion down. He literally says, I refuse to use the word cognizant. This is someone who's an expert, this is a biologist.
So, if I follow you, plants really do feel, not metaphorically, but really. They just can't feel pain, right? Plants don't have pain receptors. Plants have pressure receptors that allow them to know when they're being touched or moved. Mechanoreceptors. It's a specific nerve cell. And to be clear, am I right that a plant knows it's being damaged? You can definitely kill a plant, but it doesn't care.
We're back, I'm in the shade. It was too hot and I already have a sunburn, so no thanks. That Vice article, obviously he was kind of biased. I think it's funny, but I also respect him for, I guess, disclosing that he went into this interview with a political agenda. I don't think it's good to go into an interview with those intentions, but he put it in the article right there at the beginning, so Vice, not really a great scientific source. So let's go to sciencetimes.com. This was written in December 18th, 2019. Honestly, I'm really disappointed because I know I just said that the Science Times is a better source, but they're literally going against the science on this one. It's just annoying me, so let's look at this. A group of scientists suggest that plants feel pain by Sika Khan. I apologize for mispronouncing this person's name if I'm mispronouncing it.
For years, scientists are baffled by the question of whether plants can feel pain or not. A team of scientists from Tel Aviv University may have the answer to that question, as they discovered that some plants can emit a high-frequency distress sound when in environmental distress.
This is the same university that Daniel Chamovitz is from. Considering that someone from the university had that to say in the Vice article, I find it really strange the way they're twisting that university's studies. So they haven't twisted it yet, but here, we'll get into that.
The team of researchers tested tobacco plants and tomato plants by not watering them and by cutting off their stems. Then they recorded their response with a microphone that was placed 10 centimeters away. In both cases, the scientists found that the plants began to emit ultrasonic sounds that were between 20 and 100 kilohertz, which they believed could convey their distress to other organisms and plants within the vicinity. When the stem of a tomato plant was cut, the researchers found it emitted 25 ultrasonic distress sounds over the course of an hour, according to the study that was published in Live Science. The tobacco plant that had its stem cut sent out 15 distress sounds. When the team of scientists deprived each plant of water, the tomato plants emitted even more distress sounds, increasing to 35 in 1 hour, while the tobacco plants made 11. The plants also seemed to respond with the different intensities of sound to different sources of environmental stress. They observed that the tobacco plants let out louder sound when they were not watered than when they had their stems cut. The plants that did not experience any environmental stress, damage, or threat released less than 1 ultrasonic sound per hour.
So far, this is all interesting stuff. Good science. I don't have much to say about that. That's interesting. Keep going.
The way you whisper in my ear, make my troubles disappear. It's magic. The way your little fingertips.
The team scientists believe that this can help with precision agriculture and allow farmers to identify any potential issue with their crops. Then, in the next sentence, they go on to imply that the same team said that plants registered pain. That's not what that study found. I mean, we literally just talked about how plants don't have the nerve receptors to register pain. They can feel what's happening in a sensational way, but not in a pain way. So I'm kind of confused. I wish they had cited their sources. I'm kind of bummed that they didn't, because it would be really nice to be able to check their sources, but yeah, I can't find the fucking study, which is really annoying because they just throw that in there when people from Tel Aviv University who understand the science actually clearly specify in interviews, no, plants aren't cognizant, they don't feel pain, they don't have pain receptors, they feel physical sensation. They're two different things. And I know it's hard for us because wherever we have touch nerves, we also have pain nerves, at least the majority of us. But they're two very separate, distinct, different things. Let's just move on. Oh, and that's the whole article. Great. This is kind of a bad article. I don't know who Sika Khan is. We're not gonna come for them too hard because, you know, I'm not trying to hate and make it personal. It just is really frustrating. This was written in 2019, and that Vice interview came out in 2015. So they could have easily done the bare minimum of research like I did and found that the experts who work on this, who talk about it, specifically say not to anthropomorphize plants. Now, why do people do this? Like I said, not to take it too seriously, I think some people don't even really believe that, and they just use it to troll vegans. But a lot of times people believe that, and then they lightheartedly use it to troll or annoy vegans, but they still believe that. Just like for a long time, up until recently, people were like, oh, protein though, and yeah, they would use it as a troll, but also when they're alone with other meat eaters, and I know this happens because I haven't been vegan my whole life, don't act like I don't know what goes on in non-vegan conversations. Like, you normally go around in a circle, basically circle jerking and agreeing with each other, saying, yeah, plants feel pain, yeah, protein though, yeah, what about lions though, those vegans, and it reaffirms misconceptions because other people believe it. And when other people believe it, that makes it seem more believable. My cat's climbing the tree. They're so happy to have a tree now. She goes way up in it. Oh, she's gonna try to kill this bird. Oh shit, more birds are coming. They're pissed off that she's, oh shit. I wanna film, but I can't look away. Anyways, freaking nature doc in my backyard aside, there's something really comforting and satisfying as a non-vegan knowing or believing that plants feel pain, because it means that no matter what you do, you're causing the same level of suffering, the same level of murder, of torture, of pain. It relieves the cognitive dissonance, the doublethink. It relieves you of that stress, and it basically comforts you, saying you can't do anything. You have to cause pain and suffering to survive, so it doesn't matter who you're causing pain and suffering to. I do think that's kind of funny though, because dairy products and eggs are completely unnecessary, and you could choose to just live off meat and vegetables if you wanted. If you really didn't want to be vegan, but like you cared about reducing suffering. Like, you can at least take the most unnecessary out of it. And the dairy industry causes the most suffering and torture and murder anyways. Just throwing it out there. Give up dairy if you don't want to go vegan. The problem with that, though, is that it's not true. Even people in the scientific community, like, you hear the experts talking about it, and they clearly say no, plants aren't sentient, they don't feel pain, but they're way more intelligent than we ever imagined, and, you know, they're really smart, and they do respond to stimuli in a really intelligent way. But anyone who's not, like, an expert on the topic, they seem to twist it into plants do feel pain. Again, because I think, even subconsciously, people want to be relieved of that guilt. They don't want to feel a moral responsibility to change their diet because meat and dairy taste good. It's easier not to change. Oh, I also wanted to look this up, though, because here's the other thing. The other enjoyable aspect of it is not just relieving cognitive dissonance in saying that plants feel pain, but it's also, it gives you like that rush of like, oh, I outsmarted someone who thinks they're better than me. I don't think I'm better than anybody, but because it's an ethical issue, a lot of times people think that because you think you're doing something ethical that X person isn't, that you think you're better than them. But I don't think that. But you know, there is a sort of rush in feeling like you own someone intellectually. You own them, you know, I freaking showed them up. So let's go to the Vegan Society. Now there, of course, is controversy about this definition of veganism, but at this point, it seems like the debate has been pretty solidified, where vegan is an ethical lifestyle, a philosophical mindset, and plant-based is basically a vegan diet. And I think it's important to have those distinctions. If you want to know why, I already made a video about it, so I'll link it here. Go ahead and watch it. So this is the Vegan Society's definition of veganism that most ethical vegans also, actually pretty much all ethical vegans use. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. I know I kind of stumbled through that, but basically it's saying reducing the exploitation of animals in the things that you use and do as much as you can. Not perfectly, not without fail 100%. Notice that it specifically says animals. So if we want to play semantic games, which isn't necessarily my favorite thing, but if we were going to, if someone says to you, well, plants feel pain, you're not vegan, you can literally just say, veganism's about animals. It just really frustrates me when people actually bring up this point genuinely, and they're not vegan. Like, if you're vegan, it's one thing, because you already clearly care about the exploitation of animals. You care about the exploitation of sentient beings. If you really go out of your way to use the most ethical products, like all your clothes, all your tech, everything is made like in the most ethical way possible. I don't even know if it's possible to buy ethical technology, but say it is, and you're one of those people, and then you start talking about like plant exploitation because plants feel pain. I can disagree, but respect that. When you're the type of person who just doesn't want to make changes because they're uncomfortable, and then you bring up the plant thing, that really bothers me, because you don't really care. And here's how I know, because every single time someone brings that argument up genuinely, no disrespect to any of y'all, because if you're watching this, I don't want you to feel like I'm hating on you or like giving you, you know, shit saying, oh, you're so dumb. I don't think that. It just frustrates me because no one actually seems to know when they use this argument that most of our plant agriculture crops go to animals being fed for slaughter, you know, being fattened up for slaughter, being exploited in the dairy industry. A cow eats vastly more than a human, you know, way more. We kill several times the human population, the human world population in animals every year. We're feeding multiple times more than the human population in animals. Like annually, It's so much food. If the US alone went vegan, we could save enough crops to end world hunger. Now, obviously, it's not, people always say, you can't just end world hunger. Yes, there's institutions and things in the way, and things would have to be changed. There would have to be a distribution system. I get that. But we would have enough food to end world hunger if the United States alone went vegan and everyone else still ate the way they're eating. If these people who claim to care about plant rights, who claim to care about the ethics of eating plants because plants feel pain, if they actually cared about this, they would have done research into the best way to save crops. And you know what the best way to save crops is? Going vegan. If you really care about the fact that plants feel pain and you want to, I mean, it's not a fact, I shouldn't say that, but if you really think that plants feel pain, even though the science disagrees, and you want to be a plants' right activist, go vegan. And you can be vegan and live off of foods that don't have to be killed. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it because at the end of the day, plants don't feel pain. Science disagrees with this. I did want to make this point earlier, but, you know, for people who say, well, isn't them responding intelligently a sign that they can feel pain, that maybe they, just like they feel feelings, you know, feel sensations, can't they also feel pain in a way that's completely different from humans and animals biologically? And maybe we haven't seen any evidence of that, though, and intelligence is not evidence of that. Let me use my computer as an example. My computer is very intelligent. In a lot of ways, it's smarter than me. I can put anything into the calculator and it instantly comes out with the correct answer as long as I put the problem in correctly. I can't do that mentally. It tracks its own battery and its own energy, just like a person. You start to feel hungry, you start to feel the physical sensation of being hungry, and you know, you get cranky about it. Does your computer, even though it's literally smarter than you in certain ways, you know, it even warns you. It even says, hey, I'm low on energy. It has an intelligent response to let you know that it needs more energy. Is your computer sentient? Does it have nerve endings? If you beat a computer with a hammer into pieces, are you gonna feel guilty if the computer is turned on? No, because even though a computer is way more intelligent than me, it's still not sentient. It doesn't feel things. Just because it can be aware of certain things and have an intelligent response to that, it doesn't mean that it's sentient, that it feels pain if you pull a key out of the keyboard. Like, it's not gonna be like, ouch, stop that. Also, I would just like to point out that, you know, evolution plays a role in this. I know I'm a Bible thumper or whatever, but why did animals and people evolve? Why would we evolve to feel pain? It's unpleasant, it causes unhappiness, stress, fear. Why would we evolve to feel pain? Well, it's a warning for us. It's a way for our body to tell us, this is dangerous, this is life-threatening, this is gonna injure you, you need to get away from whatever is causing this to happen. That's why we have pain. It's not just something that's inherently necessary to exist or survive. Life does not need pain to survive. It depends on the type of life that you are, the way that you interact with the universe and the world. Humans, animals, bugs, we move around. And so it would make sense that we would have a sort of inherent biological warning system telling us to get away from things. Now, why do plants respond to damage, injury, or even being killed? Why do they respond with chemical signals? They're signaling to other plants around them. If one plant picks up a signal from another that just got eaten, and it picks up that signal, it's going to start releasing chemicals so that it can be protected when something else comes along to eat it. Because if it's nearby, it might be at risk of being eaten too, and it'll release those foul-tasting chemicals or whatever. The animal or bug tries to eat it, it's like, ew, this tastes bad, and the other plant survives. It's a warning system. Plants need this warning system because they are rooted in a spot. They can't move around the way they want to. They can't escape from damage or pain, the best thing that a plant can do is warn other plants so that the forest overall survives, the patch of grass overall survives. It would not make sense for plants to evolve a sensation of pain. The only reason we feel that negative, specifically negative reaction to pain is so we can escape. So why would plants evolve and develop that? They don't need that, like, that emotional reaction to jerk them away from something, because they can't jerk away. I feel like I've spent more time thinking about this argument than the people who actually make it, generally speaking, of course. The thing that really disappoints me the most is that it never comes, it seems, from a truly genuine place. Even people who use it as a real argument as to, well, what about this, vegans? You know, not even in a pwn the libtards way, just in a I disagree with you respectfully kind of way. Are they plant rights advocates? No. I got all those articles from the first page of Google, okay? Like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a scientist. I didn't do like a bunch of thorough research, and I still was able to find, yes, articles saying that plants feel pain, and maybe people are more likely to click on things that might agree with them, but if you're looking for a good source, the best source that I found on the first page by far was Encyclopedia Britannica, and it says right there, plain and simple, bluntly, no, plants don't feel pain. This ended up being way longer of a video than I thought. I'm gonna have to edit it down hecka, but that's okay. Thanks for watching though. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it got you thinking, got your brain juices flowing, I don't know. I just wanted to vent about it because it's been frustrating me for a long time, and I've wanted to make a video about it for a long time. So I do hope you enjoyed it. If you like, go ahead and click like, click dislike, go ahead and subscribe too. It's gonna be down here. Have a great day. Stay home, stay safe. If you can't stay home, I'm really, really sorry that you have to work. That fucking sucks, dude. Fuck the oligarchy. You know, we need to revolt, guys. Okay, that's a whole other video though. Have a great day. Goodbye.